Hi guys, welcome to the Blender tutorial. As you can see, I have the Blender opened. So before I start, I would like to tell you about Blender. Blender is a free 3D animation software. It's a very powerful software, and you can get it. The most amazing part of this software is that you can actually get it for free, and it's an open source software, which means it's constantly being improved every time. I remember when I started with Blender, the interface wasn't as, you know, even though it looks a little bit complicated if you're seeing it as a beginner. Back then, when I started with Blender, it was a little more complicated than this. And now, this is Blender 2.91, and so far I can say there's a massive improvement on Blender right now. So now I'm going to show you around the Blender workspace. If you want to start something on animation, I will advise you can start with Blender. Reason because the Blender software is a free software compared to other 3D animation software available, which are also very expensive. You know, the Cinema 4D goes for thousands of dollars, and every other animation software out there, Maya, very expensive software. So looking at the Blender workspace, this is the Blender workspace. It looks so busy and complicated. Most of the time when beginners want to start something in animation, 3D animation, and they open the Blender workspace and they see all these things, they just get discouraged immediately. They get discouraged, which is understandable, but you shouldn't get intimidated, because when you start using Blender, you realize how easy and just how easy it can be. So now, um, to tell you um, how this workspace works, right now we are in the layout mode. We are in the layout, sorry, and in the layout we are looking at the viewport shading. This right here is the select box, so I can use this to select anything. This box right here, the cube, is already selected, so if I click outside this, it won't be selected anymore. So this is the the tool, the select box that you use to select any object in the workspace. So if I click on this cube again, the cube is selected, and you can see that it shows selected here. Are you getting me? So if I click on this place is not highlighted. If I click back on the cube, you can see that this place is highlighted back. So this is the selection tool, and here is the cursor. So this is the cursor right here. So I can, if I click this, I can move the cursor from here to any point that I want to. So if I click the cursor and I click somewhere here, this cursor will move from here to this place. It will move to this place. If I go back to the selection tool and I click here, the cursor will not move from here, it will stay there. Sorry. So that's for the cursor. So now this is the move tool. This is used to move the cube around the workspace. If I grab this here, I can move it, drag it up and down. If I grab it here, I can move it forward and back. And if I grab it here, I can move it this way and move it back. Also, I can press G. If I press G, I'll be able to move it around the workspace. And just grabbing it here, it will only move along these straight lines. To only move along straight lines. So if I press G, I can move it around anywhere I want to move it around, and I can put it back and place it back. This is the rotation tool, so I can use it to rotate this anywhere I want to. That's the rotation tool. And this is the scaling tool, sorry, which means I can use it to expand this, in whichever size I want to. That's that. So for now, So this is a transform tool. As you can see, this transform tool. So let's go back. Just press Ctrl Z if you're using the PC, and then you can go back to the start. So now let me show you how to move around the workspace using your mouse. If you right click on the environment here, it will bring out different options that you can use. Shade smooth. Anywhere selected, since this box is selected, if I click shade smooth, it's going to smooth this box. But we are not doing that now. We just want to show you how to move around the workspace. If you want to scroll in and zoom out, use the middle mouse. The wheel, just use it to scroll in and scroll out. It will zoom in and zoom out. If you want to move around, the workspace, click on the middle mouse and then move around like this. That's how to move around in the workspace. Zoom back in using the middle mouse wheel, scroll in. So if you want to drag it closer, use the middle mouse to drag it. Press the key, hold the middle mouse and press shift, and then you can drag it anywhere you want to drag it. So that is that. So basically this tutorial is an introductory tutorial, and I will just be explaining and showing you the basics of using Blender for simple 3D animation. And before I continue, I would like to let you know how powerful Blender animation is. If you look at the Blender, you can actually use it to do at least 5 different things. You can use it to make a 3D animation. This is the 3D animation workspace. If I go to File, New, you can also create 2D animation using Blender. As you can see, this is the 2D animation workspace. That's the pencil and everything. This is the 2D animation workspace. If you don't want to create 2D animation, you can also do sculpting with the Blender. That's how powerful Blender is. You can mold out your own model. You can sculpt anything out, whatever you want to do. If you are not into sculpting, you can also do video effects, VFX, using the Blender software. Also, you can do video editing. You can have your video, import your video here, and then edit it however you want to. So that's how powerful Blender is. So let's go back to the 3D part. And now that we're in the 3D part, let me just show you a simple simple things that you can do with the Blender. The very first thing, let's remove this. What I did was click on the box and press delete, so we remove that. So the very first thing I want you to do is to right click on this space. Go to add object, go to mesh, and let's click on sphere. If you look at the sphere, it is rough at the edges, it's not smooth. So you remember when I was talking about the shade smooth the other time? So if I right click, if I click shade smooth, it's going to smooth out the edges here, looking more like a ball. So now we have a sphere. So if you want to create a plane for this sphere, like something that is sitting on, let's go back to add, go to mesh, and let's create plane. So now we have the plane. Take into consideration that wherever your cursor sits, that will be the exact place that the object that you're trying to add will be placed. If I move my cursor from here and I put it here, and I go to add, mesh, and plane, the plane will sit at the exact place where the cursor is here. So if I move the cursor back and I put it here and I add another plane, the plane will sit where the cursor is. Take note of that. So now we have the plane. So what we're going to do now is to enlarge this scale. Just press S for scale and then enlarge this. So now that we've enlarged this, let's try and enlarge the ball also. Press S for scale. That's okay. I don't want it to be too much. So now click on the scale and then just let's bring the scale a little bit down. The plane, let's bring down. Good. Now we have a sphere sitting on the plane. So we can do whatever we want to do with it. We can animate it, we can shade it in different colors. So if you go to this, is going to show you how it looks in different viewport shading. So this is how it looks right now, and we only have this the shadow, and we only have one light reflecting from it. This is a light, is the only light that we have reflecting on this, which is causing the shadow. So we need to put at least 2-3 lights in this viewport. So let's go back. Let's go back to this. Also, this is called a wireframe. If you need to work on the wireframe, because there may be time that you need to, that's going in deep into the tutorial. But since we are still in the introduction stage, let me not talk about the wireframe right now. So let's go back to this.